want to review the color wheel with your students. So the primary colors are red, yellow, and blue. And when you do this, you do not want to have the students use the pastels. You want them to mix. So if I mix red and blue, blue is more toxic or more powerful. So I'm going to put that down first with the red over the top. And I don't get a really pretty purple because there's some yellow in this red. It's not a true red, but there's our purple. So red is the stronger of these two, so I'm going to put red down first. And add my yellow to my orange. And then blue again is the stronger. So I'm going to put my blue down and add my yellow to my green. The reason you want to have the color wheel available is so that students can see the complementary or opposite colors, because you will use that during the lesson. Okay, so the first step is to have the students draw the symbol of a tree. So I am going to use a brown. This is the closest we have to brown. I'm going to use the symbol of a tree to start. So here's my trunk, and I'm going to use my green to make the symbol. Here are the leaves. So everyone recognizes that as a tree, although it doesn't look like a real tree. So then what I do is I go ahead and color it in. And when I'm working with students, they're not allowed to have any white in their coloring. So on a traditional piece of artwork, this would not be acceptable with all the white showing. But it's going to be okay for now because we're not finished. So here's our colored in symbol of a tree. Now we want a light source. For older students, you wouldn't draw the sun in. For younger students, we're going to put a little sun up here so that we can remember where our light source is. So if the sun is coming from here, then my shadow is going to be over here. So then we talk about what light does and what shadow does. And so shadow is really the lack of light. So we can go back to our color wheel and talk about colors that are warmer, which is this side of the color wheel, and colors that are cooler, which is this side. So for the cooler side of my tree, I already have the green, so I can add some blue and some purple. So I'm going to add a little bit of blue to the shadow side of my tree, and this time instead of doing circles, I talk to the students about making like stars or just kind of jaggedy lines that will give a little bit of a sense of texture and kind of a sense of leaves in there. So on this half of the tree, I am cooling it down with some blue, and I'm going to go outside the edges of my little round symboled tree. And I'm going to put some blue down into the trunk of the tree, and then I'm going to attach my shadow, and that's a good concept for younger grades, is that the shadow would be attached and a little bit elongated. Okay, now for the light side of my tree, I'm going to add some yellow, and that will brighten the lighter side of my tree. And again, I'm going outside those edges to kind of catch some good light on that side of the tree. And then we come to this point kind of in the middle, which for older grades you can talk about a penumbra and how that is the place where the light and the shadow meet. So what I want to do now is talk about value. I have lighter, or warmer and cooler, but they're the same value. So the shadow is going to be cooler, but it's also going to be darker. So to darken a color, I need to add its opposite. So we go back to the color wheel, and here's my green. So what would I add? I would add red. And that's a difficult concept, even as we mature as painters, to comprehend and to remember, is that adding red onto green is going to help change the value. But I'm going to put not quite as much in there, but I'm definitely going to put it into this penumbra place where the light and the shadow meet. And so you can see that I have almost no white left showing as I put some of this red down in here. And I'm going to put some, let's see, I don't want to put it down there. The opposite of blue is orange, so I would put just a little bit of red really lightly, and just a little bit of yellow really lightly. And then this is the difference between pastels and crayons, is that I can kind of continue to go over these, and they'll blend instead of just staying separate colors. So as I work through this, I'm starting to get a blended feel here. And then I'm going to go back over these colors with the green so that the green kind of stays dominant. But now I've got a real shadow part for my tree. And then I can go back in again with a little bit of yellow over this red. And then again, for more advanced students, I would go in and put a few little cools in here, because we know that we have shadow inside the light side as well, because the light isn't going to hit everything that's there. Then I have a little bit of cool here where the sun can't quite reach the trunk. But then I want to warm this up, so I'm going to go ahead and put a little bit of red into that trunk. And again, because I'm working with pastels, I can go back over that and kind of get a softer look for that. And then I can choose a ground color and maybe go ahead and put in some foreground, and I'm going to go right over the top of that shadow with my grass, because the shadow would not be laying out into space, it would be laying onto the grass. And there we have something that has gone from the symbol of a tree to something that looks much more realistic.